Well, that is a major problem and part of what we're helping to combat, right? I know not only is engagement lower than it should be and knowledge lower than it should be. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't recognize that there's more than two candidates running after tomorrow, and we need to help educate all the options that are out there. While staying focused on the task that we're going to be challenged with for 24, which is some of what we're going to talk about tonight. And I want to go ahead and get started with that. We have the meeting be recorded for those who want to view it later. So welcome and thank you to all you who are here now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get things kicked off here. So this is our Pennsylvania statewide January 24 meeting. And if you read the email, the invitation to tonight's meeting, Brian put out kind of a dark picture and asked us what are we going to do to prepare for a day in November after the results come in? How are we going to feel that day? So how do we prepare for 2024? And this is just kind of a quick overview of the things that we should be doing. And we're going to talk about that third bullet point, the plan. But we need to educate ourselves and others. We can do that through collaboration, through technology, and through curiosity. There's plenty of other ways as well. But certainly we should use the resources that are available to us and talking to others and using the information that is available, being willing to question it and doubt it when that's appropriate, and really seek out truth and encourage others to do the same. Internally here with PA Forward, we need to organize leadership and teams. So we have a candidates team, we have a communications team, we have a finance and fundraising team, and we invite people to participate and be part of those teams and help to reach out to others and tell them that they have a place to exercise their political energy if they need a home and a way to be involved that's outside of some of the other nonsense. And we need a plan. So we're going to talk about that. PA Forward election plans for 2024. And some of this is a review. If you were here with us in December, and some of you may not have heard what our plan is, we're going to get into a little more detail about these tonight. We want to recruit and run statewide candidate with the goal of achieving greater than 2% and earn our recognized state party status for PA Forward. We're currently a political body. This is all governed by the way that the state laws work. Beyond that statewide candidate, and we'll talk in more depth about each of these stars in the following pages. We want to be involved in 3 or more races of national implication. These are marquee races, ones that are going to get people paying attention and talking a little bit. And this is all about bringing competition where it is needed to provide the people a choice. And beyond that, we want to run forward candidates and support forward aligned candidates in additional races across Pennsylvania. So, there's many races that are going to be run, even though it's not the locals. There's still a lot of races that are going to be taking place in 24, and we want to see what makes sense to get involved with. Brian, if you can see this well, do you want to talk about this page for me?
Yeah.
Or any gaps where you have questions, but I just don't want to do all the talking tonight.
Yeah, it sounds like you're having a little trouble with your voice.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so we want, like Christian was saying, to be registered or to be a recognized minor party in Pennsylvania, we need to run a statewide candidate. And the 4 statewide candidates available this year are Senator, Auditor General, Attorney General, and Treasurer. I think we all agree that Senator is a really high-profile race and it's just something that we're not interested in getting involved with. Beyond that, the signature requirements to get someone on the ballot are higher for that one. So we're really focused on the other three: Auditor General, Attorney General, and Treasurer. And yeah, we will make an announcement. Okay, is this official? We will make an announcement in March of at least one statewide candidate. Okay, great. So we can't announce it yet, but it sounds like this is more official wording than I've seen before. I'm excited. More productive conversations have been taking place. If you have someone to nominate for consideration, reach out. We want to talk to you. You know, if we have you know, we'd love to have a treasurer, a candidate for treasurer. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, we'd like to have a treasurer on the ballot also. So if you know someone that maybe works at a high level in banking, or you think would be qualified for the treasurer position and could make a compelling case, we'd love to know. Yeah, well, that's the statewide races, and also, you know, they're gonna be putting themselves out there, willing to speak and make a good representation, and know that their goal is to get it's like 2 or 3% that they need to achieve so that we get minor party status. They'll be doing us a huge favor by doing that.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, a win in this race is different than actually earning the office. It is about earning that status for the state. So we got to recognize that in every race, there may be a different definition of what winning is. We do want to also build the profile of Forward and make sure that we're representing the Forward values through these candidates, and that we're helping people understand why we're here and what it is that we're trying to do. You know, just reaffirming that this is, you know, a big table where we're trying to invite people in and not dictate what people's platforms are, but we do have an expectation when it comes to values and principles. So thank you for taking that one on. Jeff, if you, I don't know if you're in a position to come back on camera. Do you want to take this next slide for me?
Okay, so we're looking, one of the things we're trying to do is find races where we can have some impact. So right now, we're trying to identify races where the Ford alignment can help challenge in a race and enable voters to have a choice. There's different ways that we can approach this. Some of it is you know, getting a candidate to actually run as a Ford party. That's kind of like the real stretch. But in many cases, you may be able to find a candidate that's a really good candidate that supports our values, that's willing to basically talk through those values, and that may be somebody that will align themselves with the Ford party, but retain their major party basically status, so that people recognize their general views are typically, you know, Republican or Democrat, whatever that may be. The candidates we're looking for, though, do need to support and demonstrate the Ford values, and utilize and engage the political process, and with the Ford party. We're working through a vetting process. We want to really get this written down so that we do it in a methodical manner, and basically make sure that we get candidates that can represent our party well. And you know, part of doing this is it gets us some media. What we can offer is media involvement. We can do I think we do more than just the media involvement. I think there are candidates out there that are being held hostage by their parties, and the thing that we offer them is an opportunity to do what they, I think, probably deep down really want to do, and that is look out for the constituents instead of just looking out for their party. We're going to be going through and looking for races that are meet this criteria. We talked about the 3 high-profile races. We're also going to be looking at at Pennsylvania state and House races where we may be able to have an impact. So we're going to be scanning through, looking for cases where the incumbent's not running, looking for cases where, based on the past election or the primary election, it indicates that the voters aren't maybe 100% satisfied with the candidate, and maybe there's an opportunity to basically get somebody to help challenge in those situations. We don't know how many races that we're actually going to have, because we have to go through and actually look to see what opportunities are out there. So there's not necessarily a specific number. It'll be more of looking at the opportunities. But there are a lot of House districts out there. And so, ballpark, we'll probably try and shoot for maybe 10% of them to try and get involved. We will be needing help. I mean, this is a process you have to go through. There's some research process to find out, where the incumbents are not running for re-election, how did they do last election, all those kinds of things. We have put together basically a pretty simple thing to go through, but it's just time consuming. So there's going to be a training the first week of February. We're looking for some volunteers to help us do this research. One of the things that we struggled with last year is getting through that process quickly enough so that we could have an impact. Had we had maybe a little more help or been able to get through a little quicker, I think there were more opportunities for us to have actually gotten Ford Party people elected. But we just, we needed a little more help getting through the process in an expeditious manner. So the other thing, aside from looking for candidates, looking for positions, looking for opportunities, one thing that's really important is trying to look for potential candidates. So if you know of somebody that really would be somebody that would be helpful and really demonstrates Ford Party values well, we're certainly willing to accept those nominations, including yourselves. Recognize that there may be opportunities where, if you, as we said, with maybe the statewide elections, you may be running with not the intent of winning, but with the intent of getting out there and showing the electorate that there is an alternative. So it becomes an educating process rather than trying to win the seat. So that's what we're looking for.
Thank you, Jeff. That was great. So
I would
that,
also
Yes.
like to point out, if you are thinking about running for an office under the Ford banner, you do have to disaffiliate with the major parties by, I'm going to say March, or 30 days prior to the primary. So yeah, March.
Yeah, I think it's like March 23rd or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a date that's non-negotiable, but that's always a major issue with third parties in the state. A lot of people, good candidates, have been kicked off the ballot for that reason alone.
Yes, thank you, Ben. Good reminder there. All right. So we're going to move on to building community. Beyond just the elections, a part of how we're going to help support candidates and also find some of our candidates is through the relationships we've built with the reform groups. There's plenty of very active nonpartisan groups that have been working hard at different advocacy throughout the state. We've been able to meet many of the people that are active there. We encourage you to also be involved. Check them out. Two of the organizations that, as an organization here at Forward, we have endorsed as Ballot PA and Fair Districts. There's others that we'll probably be endorsing as the year moves on. But we have ongoing conversations with many of the leaders, including Common Cause, League of Women Voters, March on Harrisburg, Bravery Angels, Independence of PA, and just trying to learn and understand everything that they have going on And this PA Democracy Collaborative is a newly formed group of some of the leaders of these groups, and with an effort to share information and make sure that all of us are aware of what one another are doing for both educational purposes, and the different events that are happening. And one that's actually happening tomorrow is March on Harrisburg in celebration of 123 RCV Day. They are doing a ranked choice voting day virtual policy workshop. So if you go to the March on Harrisburg website and go under events, you will find a link to sign up for that event or to attend that event. It's happening tomorrow night. Let me double check my other tab here. I believe it's at 8 o'clock. But they're going to be talking about the two bills that are actually being considered, that are up for consideration right now here in the state of Pennsylvania. And what a difference having ranked choice voting would make to help empower voters to vote with their conscience and not feel like they have to just take the lesser of two evils. There may be other options to consider, not just ranked choice voting, but certainly ranked choice voting is a great consideration and something that's gotten some good momentum here in the state. There's been a lot of hard work done by some of these other advocacy groups within the state. And for those of you who want to learn more and understand that, I would certainly encourage you to check out that workshop that they're going to be holding tomorrow. So we believe in response to Brian's invitation to this meeting, with this plan, if we can engage good candidates in the right districts and make a presence felt in the state, earn our status, that we're going to be able to really make an impact and make a difference. So when we're sitting there on election day and worried about things, this was just a little meme that I came across that I thought kind of a nice reminder of how to look at things. So are you worried about what 2024 is going to bring? It's all a matter of what you make of it. If we're going to be able to plant positive momentum and good things for the future, then we can have positive expectations. On the left side of this slide, you'll see something else some of you have heard me say before, others haven't. But this is something that I rely on a lot in talking to people about what it is that we're doing here with PA Forward. And that's the forward ethic, build engagement and build trust. And that's what we're doing by finding the right races to run in and getting good candidates to run and share our values, build hope and be inspired. And that's what we want to do with you and invite you to take part in what we're doing and join us with the team and build community, which again is part of what we share in together, but also along with those other groups that are active within our state. So I invite you, let's build it together. This is a QR code that would take you to the opportunity to make a donation to the party. And some of the things that are listed here on the side. And I just want to pause here. And is Tim joined us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tim, I'd love for you to jump in and talk a little bit about what you're doing with organizing the fundraising and beyond people just giving directly. What else can they do to help support the fundraising effort that you're leading?
Well, there's a whole bunch there. Let me just give a couple points and we could open up for conversation. We've got a huge challenge in front of us if we're about to pass a budget and accomplish all we're going to accomplish. And we as a leadership team really can't do that unless we also see a pathway to raise the money to support that budget. And that's going to be a huge challenge. The good news is that last year we raised almost $100,000 from about 51 of the leaders, most of the people on this call and a number of others. But we've got a long way to go if we're going to adopt a multi-$1,000 budget for next year. The fundraising committee has been, and the finance committee have both been very underpopulated. And we're going to need to increase members of both of those components. They work very closely together. Jack isn't on the call tonight, but Jack and I basically have been the core of those parties, and that's not sustainable. So we're going to need folks from every region to become involved, both with the finance and the building county-based leaders and running candidates and raising money. We're refocusing the fundraising on a couple different areas. We're going to depend heavily on the communications crowd, primarily Gabe McGuire and Brian, to really put together a significant social marketing messaging program for mass donors. We haven't been successful at that. Our state's fundraising task group, which has about 9 states involved, are also having similar problems, and we asked for some assistance in that area. But we need all of your help to do that. We need everybody to make a financial commitment to next year, according to their capacity. Every gift is a very important gift. We're going to need some significant large gifts, and we're going to need many, many, many smaller gifts. And those are the challenges that we're going to face. We're focusing on 4 areas. I just mentioned the communications part for mass communications. Christian has some ideas around a fundraising campaign for small donor dollar fundraising that we need to focus some volunteers on. We need to pull together events, a couple large events, but a lot of small events. Peter Knight and Jessica Forsall is planning a event Thursday in Doylestown, Bucks County. And I know Ben has some plans in Pittsburgh in a week or so. We also have a couple major cultivation events planned for Philadelphia and hopefully Pittsburgh and maybe even Harrisburg if we can do it. But it's all going to take people. And so my message to all of you is you've got to get involved and do what you can do. Make a commitment financially to what you can do, and you can give through the national page. And we split that, we get 70% and national gets 30%. If you want, you can give directly to our Pennsylvania account by contacting me or Jack Merritt. And many of you give in-kind contributions, and we're also tracking those. We've got some significant opportunities and significant challenges. And let me just stop there. And if there are any comments or questions, I didn't mention the most important thing. The events we're going to do, the 4th thing we're going to do is individual solicitations. We have a list now of 50 suspects, 10 of which are assigned to folks, 10 of which we know that they have capacity. We need to identify somebody, contact them. And we have about 30 that are just in research stage. We need all of you to identify people in your communities who have the capacity to give $1,000 or maybe $10,000 everywhere. And we want to build out person by person, neighborhood by neighborhood. And that's what we're going to be focused on fundraising wise.
Nick, I see a hand.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys too. So I'm in a unique position. I'm actually in California, so I'm not in Pennsylvania, but I am working with a candidate in Pennsylvania in Bucks County. This lady, Brittany, wants to run for town supervisor, and she wants to raise money. I mean, she's committed to doing it. She ran in 23, and because of the way Pennsylvania works, she can continue her campaign going to 25. So we've got this whole year stretch where she's dedicated to at least getting herself elected or trying and raising money to do that. And I was just wondering if you know, I'm already contributing to Forward California in my capacity, but I wonder if any of the money she raises or any of the events she puts on, or if there's any if there's any fundraising strategy you guys are tapping on, or like the groups that you were talking about earlier that I might be able to associate with, or think about fundraising strategies with, and how that could play into your guys' like statewide goals.
Yeah, no,
That's great, Nick. Let me address that, Christian.
Go ahead.
Nick, are you involved with the renewed California party?
The Forward California Party. The
Yeah,
Forward California.
Yeah, they're reorganizing. Are you connected with them?
Yes. Yes.
Good, excellent. We work closely with them and Jim Brenner and a couple others. Let's talk offline. A lot of what you're talking about is candidate fundraising and campaign fundraising. We indeed are separated. We don't have a structure yet to raise money for candidates, but that's something that we see in our future. The work that I just described is primarily to support the operations of building our party and building our state party. And so we should, there's always room for conversation. We do need to be careful about who's doing what with whom. And again, Jack Merritt, who's taking care of that on our treasury. So let's connect offline, Nick, and see where we can go in that. But it's great that you're involved. Are you from Pennsylvania, or do you just happen to be interested in Pennsylvania?
I was just doing some social media for Forward California, and I was doing down ballot candidate, just doing social media with down ballot candidates, and Brittany popped up and she said that she was running, and that they needed somebody to help them with their campaign. And I thought, if I've got a whole year to do it, I think I could probably fit it in somewhere.
And you can connect obviously with Ben on the candidates part of that, but the fundraising part, you and I should talk about. And again, keep in mind that we separate the operations fundraising from the candidate fundraising, and that's obviously very complicated. So great that you're involved. Thanks.
I want to go back to one thing that Tim mentioned as he was talking. He's leading the capital campaign and the overall fundraising, and I've been kind of pushing on the small donations and looking at a way to make sure that everyone recognizes that even $3 is a significant gift. And I want to help explain why. As we go to these larger donors, we're not asking all of you for $1,000, but when we go to the people who have that capacity and have the interest to support the right places with gifts of $1,000 or more, it's meaningful when we can tell them the number of people who have contributed. So when you take the time to give even $3, whether it's a one-time gift or weekly, monthly $3, that adds up because it helps to give us leverage in those conversations. It helps to show the interest in the commitment. So I certainly hope that you might consider even that one-time gift is important as much as the larger gifts. And we want to work on both ends in parallel. And certainly if you know other people who we should be connecting with, and they could be on either spectrum. They might be somebody that we should be having the larger conversation with, or somebody else who just wants to make sure that there's choice. And that, like I said, we're trying to set a big table and not dictate what people should think. We're more concerned about the principles and values, and we want to make sure that we can find that kind of reform that brings engagement from everyone. And that's what we're fighting for. And if you have friends who think along those lines, we want to invite them to participate as well.
Let me mention what Christian said about monthly gifts. We have the infamous Valamont initiative, and Ben was the first person almost a year ago to make a monthly commitment to us. The good news is we have about 8 folks who are indeed making monthly commitments to us. All of the gifts this year have been from those folks making their monthly commitment. And we'd love for people to give whatever they can give on a monthly basis. $10 a month, $120 a year. We do need people to recognize, first of all, every gift is important. Much as all of you do something for Forward, the fact that you're here tonight, you're giving your time. Hopefully you're giving your expertise. And we want to say that to everybody. Don't just give us money, but join us. Get involved with us in your community, in your county, in your region, et cetera, et cetera. We do need gifts of $1,000. We have giving clubs at $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000. And we need a couple of those. To be successful, we're going to need a handful of those and a whole bunch of smaller gifts. And so that's why what Christian has in mind in terms of, we have not been successful at small dollar fundraising. You know, we made a number of requests to our entire Nation Builder database of 4,500 people, and 15% of those opened the emails, but we've only got a couple of donors. And again, this is the problem we're Forward parties in every state is dealing with. And we've just had a meeting earlier tonight to discuss that and get some assistance. So we need support across the board. And you know, we're the leadership group, and we do need everybody in leadership to lead. And what we're hoping to do, because we're about ready to consider a significant budget, we'd love all of you to consider making your commitment for this year just by telling us what it is, and then you'll pay it whenever you want, either in monthly installments or quarterly installments, or whenever you choose to do that. We've been very successful in the last year, but we're going to need to become hugely successful going forward. And so I welcome all of your engagement and approach me offline to talk about any consideration. So thank you all very much for your consideration.
Thanks, Tim.
You bet.
Brian, do you want to give an update on the communications team, just a brief one? And then opportunity for people to get there?
Yeah, I mean, we have some new people on the communication team. We're still meeting up Thursdays at 3 p.m. If you were interested in getting in on that, we'd love to have you. We have some new things to figure out. We're putting together a flyer, for lack of a better word, to get the word out about looking for candidates. How do you cast this net? How do you find the candidates? How do you, get the word out there with our friendly organizations and try and convince some people? We're not the candidate team, but we're trying to reach these people. So that's new for us. Another thing is, we're all volunteers here. We're not professionals. So one issue we did have last fall after the election was having like an official press release. And how do you get a press release to the newspapers across the state? That was new for us. We did okay, but we could do it better. So trying to figure out ahead of time what we're gonna do when we have news to share. Say this, announcement when we have a statewide candidate that we're announcing. What do we do with that information and how do we get it out? That's, like I said, not something that we have that much experience in. So if you have ideas about how to do that, please reach out. That would be a big help. Yeah, I think those are the main takeaways right now.
There have been some talks of additional subcommittees forming as we get ready to take on the challenges of supporting campaigns. So please, if you have any interest in communications, reach out to Brian or myself, and we'll help get you connected. And we look forward to growing those teams. While the main team meets at 3 o'clock, I know that there's been a lot of communication that happens at other times. So if that specific time doesn't work for you, that is understandable. Don't feel like that means you can't be involved. There's opportunities. Brian mentioned about candidates. A lot of this conversation tonight's been about candidates. And Nick and I have gotten to know each other a little bit through X Spaces. That's where we really got connected. There's one going on right now. Holden Collada is holding an X Space with the Good Party. and some of you have heard me mention the Good Party before. That is a online campaign manager. And there's also campaign manager training and other volunteer opportunities to get involved to support campaigns. So the Good Party is not a party itself, but it is a support tool specifically targeted towards independent politics or third party politics. So if you're, entrenched in the Republicans or Democrats, there may be less that's available for you there, but there's still a great training opportunity. And that conversation is taking place over on the X Spaces right now. Usually those go for a couple hours. When we conclude here, I'll be hopping over there myself. Hopefully I'll see some of you over there as well, listening in. But if you go to goodparty.com, there's also an opportunity to learn about their tools and what they offer and how they can support you or somebody else you know in an effort to run a campaign. All right. I want to go back just for a second to sharing my screen just to reiterate some call to action as we conclude, but I also want to open up to the floor for any questions before we end. So some things that I might ask you to do: attend an event coming up this Thursday at the Station Tap House in Doylestown. Peter Knight has put together an event. Peter, do you want to speak to that at all? I thought I saw you on the call. I didn't include the starting time. I believe it's at 5:30 is the starting time. But that is this Thursday. And then this Saturday, if you're on the other side of the state, in Bakery Square in Pittsburgh, we'll be meeting at 3:00 for anyone who wants to get together and talk about the Western Pennsylvania Forward Party.
What day is that, Christian?
That's this Saturday.
All right.
Yes. And I just put in there, create an event. If there's not one in your backyard, you're interested, think about where you might host one. We can help connect you with people through our mailing list. We have over 6,000 people that have signed up in Pennsylvania. It's not everyone shows up for the meetings, but they might be involved in other ways or might just follow on our emails. But we'd love to help connect you with other people in your area if you'd be interested in hosting an event. That we find a location and we can help guide you through what that looks like. And it's not a very difficult thing. And if you even get a handful of people out and meet in person, it can help build a lot of energy and opportunity for the future. Candidates, we have that research training opportunity February 7th. So if you want to hear from Ben and as he guides you through how we're evaluating the 203 state house districts, and helps to score some of those, the more people that participate in that process, he's putting together a good process to make that meaningful. And we'd invite you to come and join in that. And think about somebody that you might want to nominate that you would think would be a good candidate. And whether that's this year or in a future year, it all starts with planting that seed and giving people the thought that they might want to consider serving in that way. So don't hesitate to start that process in someone's mind. And again, if you have the opportunity to donate and support what we're doing, we certainly appreciate that and would invite that. I haven't kept up completely on the chat. I tried to read through a little bit. I'm not sure if anybody needs to call anything else that's been added to the chat or if there's any other questions before we wrap up the meeting here. I just want to open up the floor.
Just that the Station Tap House event starts at 5:15, not 5:30. Peter chimed in.
Great.
And yeah, have you been in contact with Nick about this candidate training event for all the Californians and other state forwardists that want to help out? That should be a good time for people
Ben,
across the country to help us there.
Ben, do you have the link available for that by any chance?
I was just
where they
about
can
to
find
put it into the chat.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And Dan Alimony, asked about the candidate event. Dan, did you mean to train to be a candidate, or were you talking about that candidate recruitment training that Ben was
Whatever
talking about?
Christian was just talking about, I just missed the particulars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Ben will get that in the chat. Yeah, because we had also talked about holding events for people interested in being candidates to have a training or not training so much as like, what you're getting into, like support kind of calls. So even if you were just, thinking about being an event, we could get you more information on what you'd be getting into and answer some questions. So that's another thing that might be planned for a month or so away. We don't have an exact date on that yet. But let us know if you're interested in attending something like that.
Yeah, the event on the 7th is more of helping us find which races in the state house are would be worthwhile to try to find somebody to run in, or basically finding out which ones are, if the incumbent is running or not, putting the incumbent's name in a spreadsheet, telling us which counties they represent, and that type of stuff. So it's more geared towards the party, not for candidates like yourself.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I don't see any other hands, so I'm just going to wrap this up. But hopefully you're excited about the vision that we have for this year and appreciate you being part of it, and look forward to bringing some positive noise to the political scene this year. Thank you much. Have a good night.
Thank you.